Coming up, Music for the World, a new album, a global hit. From a virgin to Evita, 2 decades in vogue. And the producers shed a ray of light on working with Madonna. Legend has it that the Detroit-born Madonna arrived here in New York City's Times Square with $35 in her pocket and a bucket full of ambition. Well, the bank account has increased, but the ambition, be it blonde or brunette, has remained the same. As her latest album, Music, topped the charts in 23 countries, Madonna sat down for her first major TV interview with World Beat.
I always want to write good music, and I always, every time I go in the studio, I always think, oh God, I hope I can keep coming up with the goods, and somehow it just happens.
Music makes the people come together.
But I have to be inspired, and I have to work with people that I find exciting.
Why do I need you so?
As a songwriter, I'm really conservative in a way. In terms of song structure and verses and choruses and bridges and melodies and all that. So I think I like to find somebody who's a little bit more avant-garde, and in the production department, and then I like to marry their unconventional approach to music with mine, which is more conventional, and see what comes up.
Faster than the speeding light, she's flying, trying to remember.
I started working with William Orbit again because we had a relationship from Ray of Light, and then we did Beautiful Stranger together, and I love him, and we work really well together.
How can life be what you want it to be?
I think that Ray of Light's more trippy, more ambient.
You're so consumed with how much you get.
More dense.
You waste your time with hate and regret. You're broken when your heart's not open.
And I think that music is much more pared down, much more minimalist, in a way more funky. This kind of funky flavor on music, than much more so than Ray of Light. Guy Osiri, my partner at Maverick, was given a demo by a French artist called Mirwais. Guy slipped it to me and said, what do you think, just as an artist to sign at Maverick? And I just said, oh my God, this is what I want. This is the sound. And I was just flipped over it, and I said, please find out if he wants to work with me and collaborate. Just try out one song together, and we did, and then I wanted more, and then we did 2, and then I wanted more, and then we did 3, and then that was it.
This guy was dreamt for me, and I was dreamt for him. This guy has danced for me.
I'm going to do a small promotional tour for right now and do a couple of club dates, and then, hopefully I'm going to get my feet wet. I've already got ideas just from doing this little tour of stuff I'd like to do for a big tour. I mean, I'd love to. I feel like it's time. I need to take a trip around the world, sing a few songs.
Madonna began her career in the clubs of New York and Paris, playing drums and singing before she spun off the dance floor and into the mainstream with early 80s hits Lucky Star and Holiday. In 1984, she scored her first of 10 U.S. #1 singles with Like a Virgin, a song and video that established her provocative sexual pop style.
When your heart beats next to mine, gonna give you all my love, boy. My fear is fading fast. Been saving it all for you, 'cause only love can last. Oh, just like a prayer, your voice can take me there. Just like the news to me, you are a mystery.
Creatively restless and endlessly controversial, Madonna took on the church in 1989 with Like a Prayer, bringing criticism to the pulpit. The video was condemned by the Vatican and caused Pepsi-Cola to cancel a sponsorship deal with the star.
What are you gonna do?
Madonna took her open interest in sex and sexuality where few artists, especially women, had gone before. The explicit images and lyrics in her early 90s album Erotica caused MTV to ban her video, Justify My Love, and spark cries of condemnation from religious and conservative groups.
I'm not afraid of who you are. We can fly.
Electronica has maintained a strong influence on Madonna over the last 18 years, establishing her as an icon in dance clubs around the world.
I know lots of people that are DJs. I know lots of club owners. I have a record company, and I end up checking out a lot of DJs because for remixes for my stuff.
'Cause they don't know how to love you my way. You give me. I've always been in love with you.
In her more downbeat moments, Madonna has also amassed an impressive resume of popular ballads, from early hits like Crazy for You and Live to Tell to the stunning Babyface collaboration Take a Bow. Some of the softer edges to Madonna's music have come from her love of Latin culture and rhythms.
Last night I dreamt of San Pedro.
I wrote La Isla Bonita, and it was, that was it. I always tell people that I'm sure I was Latin in another life. I mean, I'm half Italian, so I suppose I am Latin. But I always end up writing Spanish songs or songs that have a Spanish flavor to them. And I don't know, I love Latin music, and I love Spanish. I love flamenco. I love Spanish guitars. I love all that stuff. I think I was a gypsy in another life.
Don't cry for me, Argentina. The truth is I never left you. All through my wild days, my mad existence, I kept my promise. Don't keep your distance.
Madonna's forays into film acting have drawn more criticism than praise, but her role in 1996 as Eva Perón in the musical Evita was an award-winning performance.
To say to you.
As with her music, Madonna has always taken the utmost care in choosing the producers of her videos, considered some of the most eye-catching in the business. The ray of light in Madonna's career has led her to become the most controversial and celebrated female artist ever, and there appears to be no end in sight.
Madonna's transatlantic connections are already well established. She worked on her Ray of Light album with a British producer of some pedigree, William Orbit, and she's lived for considerable periods of time in London. But what made her cross the channel to work with an obscure Frenchman who wasn't even well known in his own country? Mirwais Ahmadzai. He'd been refining his techno house sound in his tiny Paris studio for more than a decade, until eventually it gave birth to disco science.
My strong influence were very American music. Patti Smith, underground music, Patti Smith, the Stooges, the Velvet Underground. And also we discovered the European sound from Kraftwerk. They invented a new genre and a new vision of disco.
This was what led Madonna to him, the video to Disco Science, made by his friend, the director Stefan Sednawi.
I asked him to send it to Maverick because he knows someone to Maverick, the boss of Maverick, Guy Osre, and he played to Madonna. And she loved it and she called me very quickly. In musical term, she's underground, like me. It's difficult to understand that, but for me it's the truth. I want to be very precise about that, you know. She's not looking after the fashion, she's looking after the new thing, you know, because she needed it, like me.
But is Mirwais also riding the crest of a wave of international interest in French dance music? After decades of languishing in the pop doldrums, France is producing world-class names like Daft Punk, Air and Mojo, not to even mention its rap and hip-hop artists.
English journalists didn't know very well French. And with the channel, a lot of people from England...
The Channel Tunnel?
Yes, they travel more. And they realize that France, and especially Paris, could be a cool city.
French people got it going on right now. Mirwais, Mondino, everybody. But there's influences from French music from the 60s and the 70s on the album as well.
Across the water, the man who first helped Madonna establish her dance music credentials is even more passionate in his love of technology.
It's the idea of all this humming, throbbing stuff, all communicating, all interconnected, all the electrons flying around, you know, in a multitude of paths, this whole matrix of electronic activity going on there behind the scenes. And I'm not an electronics guy, so a lot of it's a mystery to me. And I look at these things and they're kind of glowing and they're warm and all this activity's happening. And then finally, out the speakers comes the music.
When Madonna hooked up with William Orbit on her Ray of Light album, he'd already worked with a roll call of artists that most producers could only dream of. Blur, Sting, Prince, Peter Gabriel, Human League, Kraftwerk, the list goes on.
Set trends and don't follow them, and that's something that may sound difficult, but in fact it just means a confidence thing. It's just not to look at trends, is to do what you think is right, and chances are you will find that people will follow you. And that's something that Madonna, I think, has always had as her philosophy, and working with her, I've possibly strengthened my resolve to do the same thing.
But for both men, technology is not all.
If you're in a nightclub and you're dancing and you're feeling kind of good, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's a kind of body thing. You're just going for it. You're going to sit there and listen to your hi-fi system. You need a bit more than that. And sometimes techno falls short in that respect. You know, I'm not going to name any names, but I can think of some bands who I think really had a chance to make a mark, and they didn't put any tunes in there.
The acoustic track was we did from scratch, you know, and for me, these tracks are the most modern we did, because these tracks are not the most impressive track on the album, but there is a lot